Hey, my good friends at C506. The Tokyo Olympics just finished, and well, maybe if you remember some of photos that went viral about um the swimmers or the divers that were climbing on a ladder, and on the background you could see a life-size robot, and well, people who has any idea of anime knows who that was, but well, if you don't know who was that was a mobile suit from the series Gundam. So it doesn't get more Japanese than that. That's the reason I am wearing this. And today, here's our good friend CIsco. You already know him. We have talked before with him with all of these great things Bandai brings to us. And now we're going to talk about this new line for Gundam. CIsco, always a pleasure.
Good to see you again. It hasn't been that long, but I'm happy to be on.
Yeah. So tell me, so what do you have to for us today in regarding Gundam? It's a flagship in Japanese animation.
Yes.
So what can you tell us?
So we're really excited. We have two lines that I'm gonna share with you that really are a fantastic way for fans, both new fans to Gundam and for old fans to really embrace the property and add to or build their collection, right? So there's Gundam model kit builders, Gunpla folks that are out there, and that's been their thing for years, right? And they'll spend hours upon hours and hundreds of dollars to put together these beautiful works of art that are highly articulated and posable, and because they love the property so much, right? And there are folks who have already been exposed, maybe they've heard of Gundam but not really sure, right? So what we have here are two lines at fantastic price points that I'm going to show you that we want to really position in two ways. One is if you're just new to the franchise, this is an easy way to get into it, right? And if you're a veteran and you already kind of know the game, right, of what Gundam is and all the things that go along with it, this is a perfect addition to your collection, right? So you really can't lose with this. So we're going to talk first about the Luminous line over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my close-up camera a little bit, and this is probably not the best way to do it. So we're going to switch to our close-up camera in about 3, 2, 1. How am I doing? Okay. So without giving the whole show away, okay. So right here, we have what's called the Luminous line, right? And what's fantastic about these guys is, and let me move my camera just a little bit. Bear with me. These guys stand about 3 inches, 4 inches high, right? And the amount of articulation they have is actually really, really cool. So what I'm going to do here is, so this is the RX-78, right? And if you look at it, right, like you can move the arms and the elbows and the legs and the knees and the feet, right? And this is your classic from the 1978 Mobile Suit Gundam, right? Mm-hmm. And what's fantastic about these guys is they actually light up. So you can't really see it because the studio lights are really bright, but what I'm going to do is if I take them apart like this, if you notice, there's a bright little LED light right here, right? So if I take them out, right, and it has basically like 2 watch batteries. Mm-hmm. And when you put it together and you're in a regular room that don't have really bright lights, you will see, right? Let me just kind of try to fix them up over here. You will see that the eyes will light up as well as these yellow chest plates, right? Mm-hmm. So it lights right up. And even cooler than that, if you even can, is with the Zaku that we have over here. So in the Zaku, right, like his eye will light up a super bright red, and it looks absolutely fantastic, right? And they're nice, thick, chunky figures. And each one of these is like $10. It's like $9.99 US.
$9.99 in the US.
I know, right? Every time I tell people, they're like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe!" Just knocked him over. They're like, wow, they're so fantastic. And, you know, they come in the boxes, and I'll show you the packaging. And like, you can put the arms and legs together. So it's not quite, you know, an actual model kit per se, but it does come in pieces that you can mix and match and interchange. And let me show you one of the packaging up here. So like the packaging right here, right, looks absolutely fantastic.
It looks very Japanese.
Yes.
If you have ever seen the Japanese versions of these toys, you will see that actually it looks the same basically on the
Yes.
packaging.
Right. So here's like the RX-78, and you can sort of see in the packaging where the areas that light up, right? So the eyes light up and the chest plate lights up, right? So in a normally lit room, these things really pop, and with the batteries, they'll last you a couple of weeks when you leave them on. As far as another way to express being a Gundam fan, like it's kind of hard to go wrong with these guys, right? And then you have two different versions of the RX-78, one with the beam saber, and then one with the plasma cannon, and then different versions of the Zaku. And then one of the ones that's not here is the red Zaku. So like the Char Zaku from like classic 1978 Mobile Suit Gundam, like that'll be in there as well. So that is the Luminous line. And I'm going to switch these guys way over here. And then next up, which is also something really fantastic. This is a brand new line. And I know, can you just sense the anticipation? Over here, we have the Infinity line, right? And with the Infinity line here, and why is my camera like all wonky? Okay, but let me switch cameras here, and I'll tell you a little bit about what this line is. So there's a current mobile game on your phone that's out there right now, right? Mobile Suit Gundam Breaker, right? And it's free to download at the App Store. It's a really fun game. And part of the play of the game is that you can take the most iconic Gundams throughout history and the different Gundam universes and have them fight each other, right? So you would say, what if the Gundam frame from Iron-Blooded Orphans, the Barbatos, were to fight the RX-78? Like, who would win, right? So that's pretty cool. But then in addition to that, in the game, you can customize your own Gundam frame. So I want the torso of this Gundam, and I want the head of this one, and I want the firepower of that one. So you can sort of mix and match.
Yeah.
So in this new line, there's a couple things going on. One is we've taken the most iconic mobile suits out there, and we've included them, right, in this line. So if I go to a close-up camera, and my apologies, because it's all, I don't know why it's kind of all tilty. But, right, if I scooch it over this way without falling over, we have the red Astray frame, right, from Mobile Seed, right, from the manga. And for fans out there, like, there were only 5, right? And you can only tell them by the color in terms of the storyline. We have the Wing Gundam, right, which most American fans know from Mobile Gundam Wing, like in the 90s, right? We have the Barbatos frame here. This is from the Netflix Iron-Blooded Orphans, which came out a couple years ago, right? We have classic RX-78 right here. We have the Zaku. This is a special one. And then we also have the Artemis, which is specific just to the mobile breaker game, right? Now, in addition, right, very similar to in the game, each of these has interchangeable parts. So you could put his arms on his body and his legs on his torso, right? So it really is about customizing in every way possible, right? And if I show you like up close with like the Artemis frame, like that's just pretty cool, right? And these guys are $12.99, right?
Okay, so it's only a $3 difference.
Yeah.
And it's still really affordable. You know, guys, sorry, Cisco. You know, guys, every time we have these interviews with our friends in Bandai, I never have the intention of make it sound like one of those TV commercials, like, oh my God, that's so affordable.
Yeah, we've lost our mind.
You know, I don't feel like that. I don't like to do a big commercial because actually I know what it's to have, you know, good products, and that's why, you know, I'm totally real when I tell you that these are pretty affordable things. They have good quality. Bandai always has been a a brand that delivers the best quality and well in a good price.
Mm-hmm.
So just want to let you know that, guys. I don't want you to consider it like a like a big commercial. So if CIsco is telling you that it's a good product, it's a good product, and also it is really affordable. Which, like I mentioned on another video, it is not the same saying cheap than affordable. This is
Right.
affordable because it's good quality for a good price. Sorry, CIsco, go ahead.
Oh, no. It's really pretty cool what we've been able to do. I mean, not me, but the guys in our Tokyo office who are putting all this stuff together. You know, each of these the swappable parts, right? So if you think of what a Gundam model fan does, right? They buy the kit, right? And they spend lots of time putting these things together. But you don't just put it together. You have to display it afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you show it, you share it, you put it on Instagram, all these things like that. And part of that behavior pattern is what do you do with it once it's done, right? And in the case of this one, like these things come in, and I'll show you the packaging for this one. These things come in packaging kind of like this. So
what a beautiful blister, you know?
It is, right? So this is for the Artemis frame, right? And so you know, you obviously has a really big view of what the product is. And on the back, right, it shows you that you can mix and match, right? It says you can build your own custom Gundam. And what's really cool, which I hadn't mentioned before, is that in this first wave, right, and just this first wave, because we're introducing it, each of them comes with a body part for the Zaku, right?
Okay.
So this guy right here, you can't buy in stores. So if you look at the package, right, like the Zaku head is included, right? So you have to collect all 5 in order to get all the Build-A-Figure parts in order to build this guy, right? And this guy, pretty cool. This is classic 1978 Mobile Suit Gundam Zaku, right? So we're really happy that for this first wave that we can introduce this fantastic line like this. And one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of go a little off script here. A lot of times fans will see like, well, they're $12.99, right? And what's their quality really like? So what I'm gonna do, right? So this is the big brother of Barbatos, right? So this is actual Gunpla. This is an actual model, right? Mm-hmm. That takes hours and hours to build, right? And so you can see, right, the level of detail involved. Now, if I take him and I put them side by side with, let me scooch this over this way, the Infinity Collection, right? Like, it's still pretty good. You know, obviously, this is scale, and this has like, 100 parts, and this one has like 14 points of articulation. But if you look at the overall detail of what you're getting, right? Like, we don't compromise on craftsmanship and quality and value, right?
That's right.
Again, right? Here's your Gunpla version, and then here's your Infinity version, right? So I kind of like to show the difference between the two, because we're not fooling ourselves. Like, these are not model kits, right? Like, they come fully assembled, but you can still customize them, right? And you can still display them and mix and match to your heart's content, right? But it really serves two purposes, which I had basically said earlier, is one, for existing Gundam fans, this is a great addition to your collection, right? Because if you're a Gunpla builder, you're going to have different sizes and versions and grades of your current Gundam collection, right? So you'll have your high grade form, right? And then you're going to have the one above and below it, right? So this is just another way to express the love for the IP, right? Because you're going to have more than one. And so for those folks who are just being introduced to the property for the first time, right? This is also a fantastic starting point, right? Because they're going to see this because they just look cool on shelf, right? And they're going to realize that they can customize them and do different things. And our hope is that then they can say like, oh, I also saw this model kit on shelf, right? And then maybe they sort of get into the hobby that way, right? Or maybe they say, I'm going to check out, Gundam Wing on streaming, or I'm going to play the video game, whatever it is. So it really is about introducing fans to the Gundam franchise, because in 2 or 3 years, there's going to be the live action Gundam movie. It's going to be coming to theaters, right? We're looking at 23, 24, just depending on like production schedules and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really super exciting, right? And so what we're doing here is we are sort of paving that road to get fans who might not be super familiar with the property excited about what's happening, and to further excite the Gundam fans who, when the news broke, about a year ago about the Gundam movie, they're waiting, right? And so this is just a way to sort of help satisfy that need until we continue to build new things, and obviously with the Infinity line, we're going to make more of these guys, right? And they're going to be different styles. So we're really excited about this first line, and we think it's going to do quite well. And it'll be available anywhere. Like, these are on pre-sale right now on Amazon, and you're going to be able to get them at Target, and you name it. So
you read my mind in regard of it will be going Amazon, Target, and also there are Gundam and mecha or Mika animes usually have a lot of fan base and a lot of how can I say it? These kind of discussions like who will beat who on these conditions, or building your own Gundam. I will take the parts from here and there, and so now you can assemble your own Gundam.
Yeah,
maybe this will also help. Not only people who watch anime, for example, artists to create their artwork, and also photograph or things like that. So they can finally maybe settle some discussions on internet forums. And if you think about it, it's $12.99 times 5, it's $65, and you're getting 6 figures. So it's less than $11 for per figure.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good deal. And also on the Luminous line, on the $9.99, that's also a pretty good deal. So this first wave comes with 5 figures forming a 6-1.
Yeah.
So, and when are they going to be released? Right now it's pre-sale, but where are coming to the shelves?
Right. So obviously it depends on the retailer, right? So but for the most part, at the beginning of October, the end of September, you'll start seeing these in stores, right? And every store has its own like logistics, and like the Target in New York might have it a couple days earlier or later than one in like Texas or something, right? But for the most part, by the middle of October, and obviously in time for the holidays, these things will be available for public as well as online and Amazon, GameStop, and all the other hobby channels as well.
Okay, so in total right now, counting the 6th figure and counting the Luminous, so right now you're launching in total 10 figures between both lines right now.
Pretty much, because we're going to have the 4, right, for the Luminous line, and then we're going to have the 5, right, plus the bonus 6, right, and the bonus 6 you can interchange the parts too. So if I wanted to, I could take the head of the Zaku and put it on the Barbatos frame, right? And then as we launch additional figures to the Luminous line, they're also going to be interchangeable. So every new figure we add is going to add to the different permutations and combinations of whatever Gundam you want to be able to customize and then share with your friends and post it online and all the other kind of stuff that goes along with it.
Well, that's great. So basically, that's the reason it's called Infinity Line, I guess, because it will be infinity combinations.
Right.
And amount of combinations, right?
Right. I mean, I haven't done the math, right? But like, if you figure each of these things has like the head, the torso, the arms, the legs, right? So that's like 6 different pieces, and then you're going to have 6 figures, and so technically that's like 6 factorial, right? And then we have a 7th one. It's a lot, right? I mean, some stuff is going to be little minor changes, right? You tweak the arm with one and the other, right? But it really is about adding and or starting a new collection, right? In a different way that you can display them, and you can change them up whenever you want, right? And so what our job is we want to put forth the best Gundam frames from across all the different Gundam continuities. And there's lots out there, right? Yeah. So we have to figure out what's going to be the next one, right? Do we go somewhere that's really, really broad? So like the RX-78 right here, like you kind of have to, because it was the one that started it all, right? And then we have the most recent one, which is the Artemis, right? Which is only found in the mobile game, right? And then everything in between. So as we think of new Gundam frames to put into the collection, right? We're thinking what's going to satisfy the hardcore fan and what's going to be recognizable enough so that someone said like, oh, I know where that's from. I'm going to pick that up, right? So it's a little bit of a balancing act that we try to be as skilled as we can in doing.
So how did the line started in this case, the Gundam? I know Gundam is older than maybe you and I, so
Yeah.
but how did they?
I think it really started with a way to, so the actual mobile game, right? Mobile Gundam Breaker did quite well, millions of downloads, right? And I think they saw the success of how people were able to customize, right? And combine things together and fight Gundams across the different universes, right? And I think that started the idea that like, hey, this is pretty cool. Everyone wants to see who would win, right? Versus an RX-78 versus the Wing Gundam, right? Which one's stronger, which one's faster, which one has more firepower, right? And so in the actual mobile game, you can make that happen, right? And so it wasn't that much more of a stretch to say, if we were to do what Bandai does best, which is spot on interpretations from the content to the actual figure, right? We basically came to the conclusion, we can make physical things of that very same pattern of use that exists in the mobile game, right? We just had to choose what are the top 5 and how can we, make them fit. And obviously, with the Build-A-Figure component and the swappable parts, that's sort of the strategies that we take, and it's something that we're going to continue with moving forward.
Okay, and any of these figures, or are there any exclusive deal with one of the retailers? I don't know. This figure is Amazon exclusive. This one is Target exclusive. Are there going to be any special packages, special editions, or something coming on?
For this first wave, no. Right? So for this first one, we want to make sure that it's as wide as possible, right? As we continue down the line, right, we're more than happy to have conversations with retailers if they say, you know what, Lord knows there's plenty of Gundams out there, right? And retailer XYZ wants to say, it would be great if we could have an exclusive Gundam of this. We would have those conversations, right? It's just a matter of, is it the right time to do it? And how do we want to be able to expand the Gundam franchise in the best way possible, right? So, I mean, we've talked about this stuff internally in the offices like all the time. It's just a matter of when it might happen and is it the right thing for the brand? And we balance that on the fan, right? Are the fans going to be able to find it wherever they can? So we think about it a lot.
Okay, so so far the first line.
It's a maybe to answer your question.
No, yeah, I understand. So for the first wave, at least you will get all the figures on any retailer, so there won't be an exclusive or anything like that. Okay, that's good to know. And so now, well, you say this is the first line, so obviously depending on the sales and all that, you're planning a second wave maybe, but are there any, do you know, maybe you will say, you know what, I'm not in charge of that, but do you know if there are any plans for any special event on the mobile game because of the launching of this line?
Well, all of these Gundam frames are already in the game, right? The game's been going on for a couple of years. So it's not like, oh, this is brand new, right?
No,
so
I know.
It as far as any kind of promotion or special with the games, like obviously, Bandai Namco Entertainment, which does our video games, they're our sister company, and we talk with them quite often. And so we have a lot of brainstorm conversations in terms of like how we can promote one versus the other. It's just a function of where they are in their promotion cycle and where we are with ours, right? And so we share announcements on social media, but as far as any like in-game content, there's nothing yet. But it's not to say that we can't have something in the future.
Okay, just want to be sure because, for example, for another anime and Bandai related games, for example, Captain Tsubasa, when there is the World Cup, they release a special edition Tsubasa Osora with the newest Japan jersey or something like that. So that's why I want to know if there was going to be any kind of special event on the mobile game, even though it's 2 years old. I understand that, but just want to be sure on that. So about this, well, the Luminous line, I noticed that you can also remove the LED. Is the LED also well, interchangeable with the other figures? Are all of them the same color, or this one is red,
Well,
this one is blue, this one
with
is
with the Zaku here, right? So there's going to be a total of four, right? So there's going to be the two RX-78s with a different accessory. There's going to be the green Zaku and then the red Zaku. The tools for each of these is a little bit different, right? So I don't think that like the red leg would fit on this one exactly because the shape is a little bit different. So these are pretty much standalone in box, right? You have to put the legs together when you buy it, right? But they're not interchangeable as opposed to these, which they have the universal ball joint where you can.
Okay, it came into my attention when you were, assembling and unassembling it that you could remove it. So maybe it's interchangeable. So CIsco, in this case, this will be available in the USA, in America. Any plans for Latin America? I already plan to release them at the same time, maybe later, as far as you know?
It really depends on the different Bandai offices around the world, right? And they have their own schedules, just depending on when they think it's the best time to launch this product line, depending on what it is, right? Some might go the same time, some might go a little bit later, depending on what other stuff they have, right? So just it really depends on territory by territory. I mean, the ideal is to have everybody come out at the same time, right? But it might not be the right time if awareness for Gundam in one country is not as high as it needs to be in order to make sure that these things are successful.
Okay, well, CIsco, thank you so much for this, Gundam, guys. Go to Amazon, go to Target, to all your usual retailers. Go to on the pre-sale, get yours. No, like I said, $65 for 6 figures or $40 for 4 Luminous figures. They look great on their blister. They look great outside of it. Yeah. So it's a pretty good deal. And like I say, this is not an infomercial like, oh, CIsco, what else? So
let me show you exactly.
But actually now, this is the moment, like always ask you this, that any Steve Jobs,
one more thing?
Steve Jobs, there's one more, but I would like to focus on something on this case. Now that we're talking about Mika anime and Japan and all that. In Latin America, well, recently there was this legal dispute that finally solved over the years about a series that actually Bandai also has. That for many years it was not possible to take merchandise and in a legal way to America. And by America I mean Latin America, USA, all that.
Right.
I'm talking about obviously Robotech or Macross.
Macross.
Any plans for Bandai now that legal dispute has finally settled about releasing something about the classic Macross? Rick Hunter, Matt Sterling, all that.
Right, Min May, and yeah. That's a fantastic question. We know of the news. We don't have any immediate plans to do something just because we have a lot of stuff that's coming out, right? Like Bandai has experienced its biggest year in years, right? From everything from Gundam to Anime Heroes to Dragon Ball, like we're doing a lot of stuff, right? And we want to make sure that when we put something out, we focus and we do it the right way, and we make sure the quality and the distribution, all things that go along with it. It's not to say that we don't have thoughts all the time on what's going to be the next intellectual property or franchise, right, that we're going to make figures for, right? So we always have these meetings saying like, what's next on the horizon, right? So that is one of the ones that we are aware of. We just need to figure out, given the movie coming out, given the other things that we have, like, again, like when is the right time to make sure that it can be as successful as possible? Because the last thing we want is to release something, however cool it might be, and then it doesn't get the priority or the time and attention that it deserves.
Sure. No, I understand. Also, Robotech was the first approach of many people with anime, actually.
That was my first one, was Robotech, when I saw it for the first time. Yeah.
You can see, so, well, in America, Robotech is another flagship, just like Gundam, it's in the end, but in America, a lot of people remember, even people who never saw another anime, or those guys who calls everyone Goku.
Yeah,
they always remember Robotech, they know who's Rick Hunter and all that. So I just wanted to know, because I think that a lot of fans over there are waiting over for Bandai plans on this, because there's been so many years that actually you can you can get the Japanese figures, but because of smugglers and resellers, things like that, but they're pretty expensive. And now we know that there is no this legal bind over there. Now Bandai can bring them, but it's good to know that it's on your plans, which we appreciate, and we hope that this comes soon. But now, since you were not able to, you didn't pull out a Steve Jobs with Robotech. What is your Steve Jobs for today then?
Our next thing has nothing to do with Gundam as far as like the next thing that we're releasing, right? Mm-hmm. But there is a couple figures for anime heroes that we're going to be announcing very soon that's going to add to the overall collection that's already out there, right? I can't reveal which characters they're going to be, but in the matter of just a couple weeks, just depending on when your viewers see this, they'll be out there. So that's kind of half of a one more thing, but there's something fans will love it. I'm pretty sure.
So it's for one of the existing lines, or it's a brand new line?
For the Anime Heroes line, yeah.
No, but I mean for Dragon Ball, for Naruto, for One Piece, or it's a new series, or it's
two new characters.
Two new characters.
That's kind of all that I can reveal right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I was. That's okay. That's okay. I understand. But you cannot blame me for trying.
I would encourage you to do so.
CIsco, it's like always been a pleasure speaking with you, guys. Again, go and get your figures. You won't regret it. And well, we'll be looking forward for any new release, and we'll be talking again pretty soon. I'm very sure.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, CIsco, and
great talking to you.
Bye, guys.